Yup. Just 7 days ago, we last discussed how potentially Paramount Skydance was interested in purchasing Warner Bros. And essentially everything that comes with it. The studios, the game divisions, literally everything. And now, hot off the wire this morning, another corporation is trying to potentially buy WB. And this time, it's Netflix. Yeah. Netflix is reportedly considering placing a bid to buy WB. This has been breaking the internet all morning long, and we gotta talk about it. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dynasty, and I can't believe it. Safe to say that this might be the closest we've ever seen to WB being bought out, and this just comes years after the Discovery merger. And in my honest opinion, they've just been fast-tracking, going downhill very fast. Ever since that merger happened, things have not been the same at WB. Not to say that previously WB was doing things better in terms of the quality of their content, but the last couple of years, we've definitely seen the steady decline of the quality. And now with this report, I don't even know if this is a good thing, because apparently, if Netflix buys WB, unlike the Paramount Skydance potential merger, apparently Netflix is only interested in the studio and streaming part of business. So they wouldn't necessarily be hands-on per se when it comes to like the video games division, aka the likes of IPs, Mortal Kombat, Hogwarts, Injustice, Game of Thrones, just essentially every potentially big IP that we've seen produced in the WB Games division over the last, at this point, decade. Yeah, this is kind of similar to last week's report, but again, if they're just really focused on owning the rights, seems like they're not going to pretty much clean house and redirect everything, whereas, again, the Paramount Skydance merger seemed like a complete overhaul. If anything, this Netflix report just seems like they want to buy everything and keep it all kind of how it is, which, again, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I would rather see the entire industry completely overhauled, but all these mergers in particular don't get me too excited, because I honestly don't have too much faith. Though, at least with Paramount, you know, the person making the bid from the Ellison family is a younger guy, so maybe he'd have a better finger on the pulse of what's, I don't know, trendy. That's one way to look at it. So let's talk about it. I'll be citing an article from Collider, which I'll have linked down below. If you guys want to support your boy, please do. YouTube's still broken. The analytics are all over the place. It takes you a second if you could. Drop a like, hit the hype button, and let's get into it. So again, be citing Collider today. It says, Netflix, after Paramount's interest, Netflix looks to buy WB in a move that would change the industry forever. They go on to say, a new contender may have just entered the WB Discovery sweepstakes. With Paramount and Skydance officially cementing their merger back in August, there were rumblings that the newly bolstered entertainment giant under David Ellison was looking next to acquire the storied Hollywood studio, Bones and all. However, Puck News has now reported that in a shocking twist, Netflix may also be considering a bid. Adding smoke to this potential fire is that the streamer CEO, Ted Sarandos, was recently in attendance at the Crawford Alvarez fight in Las Vegas alongside WB chief David Zaslav. Now, they go on to say this right here. The report further details that unlike Paramount Skydance, which would be acquiring all the branches, cable networks, and more from WB and Discovery sides, Netflix may be more interested in just the studio and the streaming part of the business. It's uncertain just how aggressive the streaming company would be in trying to acquire all that, especially with Ellison looming, and seemingly no worries about the cost for the whole kit and caboodle. And his billionaire father, Larry Ellison, worth $365 billion as of writing, behind him. With the expected astronomical price of WB Discovery, the company's debts, and talks of potentially splitting off the cable networks. However, such a deal would take time to come into place, leaving the door open for Netflix or another suitor to sway Zaslav. Puck has also previously reported that Zaslav isn't certain the right offer will be there if Ellison makes a bid. Whatever the case, a potential move to Netflix would represent a seismic shift in the entertainment industry by putting at least some part of a Hollywood legacy company in the hands of a streaming first giant. So that is essentially everything of note, courtesy of Collider, in regards to the most recent report that apparently Netflix could potentially be interested in bidding on the rights to buying WB Discovery. And keep in mind, apparently they're going to be dropping Discovery sometime in the next like 7 months or so, beginning first, second quarter of 2026. So yeah, there's a lot of movement going on with WB. I told you guys in the last video, if anything, I'm kind of grateful that NetherRealm Studios seemingly is working on Injustice right now and not the likes of like another Mortal Kombat game, because hypothetically, let's say this company gets sold in the next year, right? They'll probably still be working on maybe like a Fighter Pack 1, Fighter Pack 2, Fighter Pack 3 for Injustice, at least like that. NetherRealm isn't in limbo, because obviously Injustice is part of the DC framework of things for WB, so whoever's buying WB, they're buying it to own the rights of DC in a lot of ways. At least that'll kind of stay together. If, who knows, they start selling off just individual IPs, like the Mortal Kombat license, the big question is, what happens to Mortal Kombat? When NetherRealm gets sold with Mortal Kombat, would WB sell Mortal Kombat's rights, yet keep NetherRealm to work on Injustice and other potential DC fighting games? What is the future for Mortal Kombat with these mergers? No one really knows. So it's exciting. It's spooky in a lot of ways. But nonetheless, it's something to kind of be on top of and be aware of, because again, you guys are big fans of Mortal Kombat. I'm a big fan of Mortal Kombat. And not to say that WB is entirely a piece of shit, but in a lot of ways, if Netflix owns, you know, WB, things could just get worse. They could. And you could say the same for Paramount, you know. As much as we clamor and hope for big drastic changes to WB and for Mortal Kombat to be taken in a better direction, all this stuff could backfire, ultimately. So, how do I feel? I'm hopeful. We'll see where it goes. Personally, I think I would rather have Paramount buy WB, just because, again, it seemed like at least the Ellison family would probably want to completely overhaul everything in WB. Not just simply own the rights and keep business as usual and, you know, make all that money as is. And Netflix, man, I'm sorry, but Netflix has kind of fallen off a cliff in the last 10 years of quality as well. So they're just as bad as WB, if not worse, in so many other avenues and aspects. It kind of feels like the perfect deadly alliance, Netflix and WB. That's kind of like the one thing I feel like we should all be afraid of happening. They go up on price every 2 months. I'm paying like $20 a month for Netflix. It used to be like $8. So, yeah. Personally, I would rather have an actual, I don't know, a gaming-oriented company like Sony or Microsoft bid for the rights of Mortal Kombat, but at this point, man, I feel like it's just wishful thinking. I say that, but maybe a week from now, we'll find out that Sony's interested in potentially buying WB Games Division or something like that. I don't know how this is going to unfold, but I couldn't tell you the last time that we got not one, but two big breaking stories like this, where we have gigantic corporations bidding on WB. Usually it's like one a year, not two a week. So where there's smoke, there's fire. Zaslav's clearly listening. They're billions and billions and billions and billions and billions in debt. There's only so many companies that can probably buy the company and buy out their debt. Netflix is one of them. Paramount is one of them. So there's options. I just don't know if they're good. But guys, that's all I got for y'all today. What do you think of the news that potentially Netflix could be buying WB? We haven't even touched base on the fact that if Netflix buys WB, that would mean that WWE and AEW are owned by the same entity. We'd essentially have another Monday Night Wars situation going on where Vince bought his competition. I don't know if Tony Khan would be content with working for Netflix, but I guess this really wouldn't be up to him, given that Zaslav is the one in charge. But there's so many things we could sit down and talk about if this merger were to happen, because at this point, Netflix owns a lot of stuff. They really do. So does WB. Within the last couple of years, we've seen Netflix implement games if you just have the Netflix app installed on like an iOS device, an Android device. I know it's like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Hades. You get a bunch of games for free if you just pay for Netflix. So Netflix seemingly is interested in not just the movies, man. They've been keeping their finger on the pulse of games in some aspects. So who's to say they don't want to actually own WB so they can get some of that WB Games division money? Netflix and Mortal Kombat. I don't know, guys. I don't know how I feel. I don't feel too confident in that. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all today. Again, what do you all think of this? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Leave them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, takes you a second, please drop a like on the video. Subscribe for some more updates like this on the channel. Till next time, been your host, been Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe. Maybe in another 7 days, I'll be back here discussing SpaceX wants WB. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, 87 on it crack, but I'm not sure.